Hi everyone, my name is Melissa van Dijk, and in today's video I want to talk about something that can be really confusing when you're dealing with acne or breakouts. And that is when a treatment seems to help, but the breakouts still keep coming back. And I think benzoyl peroxide is a good example of this, because back when I was still dealing with active acne a few years ago, it was honestly one of the only topical treatments where I felt like, okay, it is actually doing something. Now, it was not perfect, but compared to many other things I tried, it was one of the few treatments where I could actually see a difference when I had active breakouts. If I had an inflamed pimple already there, benzoyl peroxide often seemed to calm it down. The redness and swelling would often go down, and it felt like the breakout did not stay as inflamed for as long. And at that time, when I was still actively breaking out, it did seem to help with the acne that was already visible. But looking back now, I can also see the limitation much more clearly. It helped me calm down active breakouts, but it did not stop new ones from forming. And that was the part that made me start questioning things. Because I would use it on a breakout, it would calm down, and then a few days later, or maybe a week later, another breakout would appear somewhere else. So after a while I started wondering if benzoyl peroxide was really failing or if it was simply helping with the pimples that was already there. Maybe it was helping once the breakout had already appeared, but it was not changing why my skin kept breaking out again. And that difference became really important for me. When you're dealing with acne, it is very easy to only focus on what you can put on your skin. You start thinking about cleansers, exfoliants, serums, moisturizers, spot treatments, benzoyl peroxide, and all the different treatments and products that are supposed to help. And I still think a simple routine can have its place, especially a cleanser and sunscreen. But for me, skincare products were not the main thing that changed my acne. At some point, I started to feel like I was only reacting to the acne once it was already on my face. I was not really looking at what was happening around the time my skin would flare up. And I think that is easier for me to see now because I'm not in the middle of active acne anymore. At the time, I was mostly focused on making each breakout go away. I wanted the redness to calm down, I wanted the swelling to go down, and I wanted the pimple to disappear as quickly as possible. But looking back, I can see that I was treating the breakout after it appeared, while the same cycle kept repeating. That is where my perspective started to change, because by the time a pimple appears on the skin, something has usually been going on before that, even if you cannot see it yet. So I started looking at acne differently. I was no longer only thinking about the pimple itself, or what product could calm it down, but I started paying more attention to what was happening around the time my skin would start acting up. And once I did that, food became the biggest thing I started to notice. Not in the sense that I ate something specific and immediately broke out the next morning. If it had always been that obvious, I probably would have connected the dots much sooner. But for me, it was often more like a gradual build-up. The more hidden sodium I had in my diet, the more likely my skin was to become reactive over time. And that is where benzoyl peroxide started to make more sense to me. Because to be fair, treatments like benzoyl peroxide can be very convincing. When something actually calms the breakout down, it feels like you have finally found the thing that works. And in one way, it is working. It is helping with the breakout that is already there. But the same cycle can still continue if nothing changes around what made your skin react in the first place. For me, one of the biggest things happening in the background was my diet. It was processed foods, especially the hidden sodium, and everything that often comes along with those foods, like added sugar and fewer simple whole foods. But sodium became the biggest factor for me, because it seemed to be what started the whole chain reaction. When I was eating a lot of processed high sodium foods, my skin always became much more reactive. And when I reduced those foods and balanced my meals more with simple potassium-rich whole foods, my skin became much calmer. And that was the part I could not ignore anymore. So the biggest shift did not come from finding one perfect acne product. It came from changing what my daily food pattern looked like. And that is why I started seeing benzoyl peroxide differently. It could help calm down breakout once it was already there, but it was not the thing that changed my acne overall. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!